Hi everybody, this is Mark Johnson from Money Mavericks. How's your day going? Today we're talking about, well, a lot of people come to me and always ask me, is it good for them to buy or rent real estate? A lot of times people want to know if they're losing money when they're renting or if they're paying too much for the real estate, so they want to know if they should just rent it instead. But let me tell you something. When you rent a place, you're pretty much giving the landlord your money and you're not really getting any kind of savings. You're not getting any kind of equity out of that property that you're paying rent in. So like many people might have different situations. If you're not making that much to afford to buy a place, you can save up to buy a place, buy your own place for ownership. But in the meantime, you can rent, which is fine. Just get a goal put together that, okay, I'm going to save this much money per month for a full year or 2 years so I can save up my down payment. And then work out how much the expenses will be when I buy my first house or my first condo, whatever it is. The advantages, and there's many different advantages and disadvantages of buying or renting. Renting, when you rent a place, an advantage is you have a set amount of money that you pay per month, and you don't have to deal with any of the upkeep of the property that you're living in because you're just renting it. That's the landlord's responsibility, right? But then a drawback to that is that you don't get any equity in that property as you're paying the rent for whatever 5 to 10 years. You don't get a check. The landlord doesn't give you a check when you move out, saying, okay, you've been paying my mortgage down for such a long time, here's a check, go find your own place. It doesn't work that way. So you don't get any equity in the property. So you don't gain anything really. You just find a place to live and pay the rent. But when you ownership, when the property goes up, you gain equity, and which is really good because then you can actually buy another property, and moving on to retirement, you'll be really well off. Another thing is that when you own, there's a lot of expenses when you own. When you own, you have to pay mortgage, you have to pay property taxes, pay maintenance, any kind of breakdown in the house, maybe a new roof, a new boiler, whatever. That's the owner's responsibility. So those are one of the drawbacks with owning real estate. There are more expenses than when you're just renting a place, but you gain equity. Again, that's something that you can actually take all that money, sell that house. You pay taxes on the appreciation, but you don't pay that much where you can invest in another property and you can gain wealth for your family. One of the ways of gaining wealth is owning a property. A lot of times if you're renting for 20, 30 years, you're not gaining any kind of equity. You can't leave your kids anything. It's not like you can leave your kids the rental that you're renting. So I believe that if your situation is a little bit better, it's better to own. But if at the point where you're at, it's good to rent, save up a down payment. And there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't want to own a property. Maybe they just want to rent. They just want to rent. Their expenses are not that high, and their income is at a set where they're okay with renting a place. They like the limelight. They like living maybe downtown Toronto where the rent is a little bit high, but they don't want to own anything because it's too expensive. I have a lot of clients that live downtown. They just rent. I am a real estate agent, so I know in Toronto that prices are really high right now. So sometimes it's better to rent for a little bit to see what happens with the market before you buy. A lot of people can't afford to buy because of the high prices in Toronto. So today again, we were talking about renting versus owning, and everybody's situation is a little bit different. So it depends on what your situation is. If you have any questions, you can call us at Money Mavericks 416-855-6644. My wife's a mortgage agent, so she can help you with qualifying for a mortgage if it's your turn to buy now. I can definitely find you a place. There's many different properties all over the GTA area that are affordable in many different areas. So just contact us if you need any help. But again, if your situation is rent, rent. If your situation is own. But owning, in my mindset, is always better than renting, especially if it's a long-term thing. It's always better to own a place to gain equity, to leave a legacy for your kids in retirement. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, watch all the other videos that we have up there. Subscribe to our YouTube page or channel, Money Mavericks TV, and check out our website, www.moneymavericks.ca. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.